It's a pleasure to introduce you to our keynote speaker, Oliver Gahr. He is Sustainable Leader, Artificial Intelligence Application at IBM. Oliver joined IBM in 1998 and held several national and international management positions in IBM Germany and IBM Research and Development. He has a broad range of experience on digital transformation and digital innovation, using and combining emergent or complex technologies such as blockchain, Internet of Things, Industry 4.0, and artificial intelligence solutions. Oliver is leading the sustainability initiatives and go-to-market solutions from a technology perspective, supporting companies from all industries to accelerate their transformation to meet and exceed their sustainability goals. Sustainability goals and digital transformation are closely related. The presentation will illustrate this connection and highlight the opportunities that arise from it. The title of the presentation is How Sustainability and Digitalization Are Shaping the Value Chain of the Future. Oliver, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. What a complex title. So thank you all for being back for the last presentation of the day. I feel the pressure being the last speaker, which means I'm the one between the business and the beer. Okay? But don't you worry, I tried to make this entertaining for us, and thank you very much. So I start with a quite entertaining message up front, isn't it? Climate change is not someone else's problem. No, it's your problem. It's my problem. It's our collective problem, right? Now you might think, well, he's stating the obvious. Everyone knows this. But looking at some numbers, it seems not to be true. So these are numbers taken from a CEO study we conducted earlier this year. It was published a couple of weeks ago, and it's publicly available, so you can download this and look through the whole research data. What it tells us is that 35% of companies started doing something, okay, whatever that means. Because looking at the different categories, I guess the only honest ones are the 6%. The others, well, they started doing something, and the rest doesn't even know what to do, where to start, and when to start. If we dive a bit deeper into the data, we see this. Now, this is even more frustrating, to be honest. 60%, almost 60% of CEOs say they're missing the ROI. They're missing the ROI. I mean, I get all the other data here, okay? No insights, no technology, no skills, fine. But missing the ROI, that reminds me of a meeting I had a couple of years ago with a CEO from a large German company, and I was introducing the combination of Internet of Things, industrial internet, blockchain, and what can be done, and how we can, push this company towards the future. We had a nice meeting, and at the end of the meeting, he said to me, Oliver, brilliant. I take all of this. But, and I'm sorry I have to say this in German because it doesn't make any sense to translate it. He said to me, with all the new technology, it's always the same. Des ersten Tod, des zweiten Not, des dritten Brot. Guess what? I'm not the first two, okay? Obviously, we're seeing the same effect here. You don't see the ROI? Okay. Then you probably are missing the opportunity. Usually in my talks, there are some crying people, so this is one of them. You're missing the opportunity because if you just look for the ROI, and the ROI is there, and I can help you to find it if you don't see it up front. If you just look at this as just another certification, just another regulation, it's just pain, okay? It costs money, it costs resources, and where is my ROI? But this is definitely the wrong perspective because, again, there's no business on a dead planet, so what's the ROI if we are not start doing something serious now? and get started. And there are many ways to get started. And this is what we call the cycle of innovation for sustainability. It's very high level, but it starts with, hey, collect your data, be compliant against regulation, understand where you are. I mean, what is your footprint? And then benchmark it in your industry, in the market, to understand where you are. Am I good? Am I bad? Lisa this morning asked the question, what is your CO2 footprint of your company? What is it? So start there. If we understand where I am, I can start optimizing. I can start optimizing my business, the markets, etc. Ultimately, we need to innovate and see this as a chance. Rethink your products and services. Go away from design to cost to design for sustainability. And it will open new opportunities, new markets, and ultimately, you make your products and services future ready. That's it. Don't you want to be future ready? I guess everyone agrees, yes, we need to. And ultimately, lead. Don't be a follower, lead with a message in the markets, in the industry. Show the others that it's doable and it's important. Now, we in IBM, we are looking at this from a technology perspective, of course, and we see these three pillars. One is exponential technologies, things like artificial intelligence, blockchain, quantum computing. Of course, the data, get the insights, understand your footprint, and think in platforms and ecosystems. Also, this morning we learned there are three different scopes we are looking at. Scope 1, Scope 2. This is me and my company. And all the energy I'm consuming if I'm not producing it by myself. If we look at Scope 3, it's a complex network of suppliers. So think in ecosystems and think in these platforms. We recommend to look at this twofold. One is short-term, marketing-oriented, tell a story, okay? But don't greenwash, okay? Do something good and then talk about it. But way more important is, of course, have a long-term strategy. Have a long-term strategy for your company, how to become more sustainable. And some important aspects here that are often underrated once it's at the board level is how do I motivate the people? How do I get my staff behind this wave? Okay? And I will show you some examples what we can do there. So, it is complex and sustainability has a lot of uncertainty. We don't know where to start. We don't know what the big roadblocks are. So we need to have a way of guiding you as a company, through your journey. Together we can find out, okay, what are the main things we need to work on? Where do we need to get started? And it's not easy done. I cannot sell you a piece of software and say, okay, you're done, that's it. No. It's way more complex, so we need to take this journey, okay? From an idea, from identifying the roadblocks, going through this until we can go to the market with new products, new solutions. Now I will show you some real-life examples of customers I'm working with, and the first one I'm very proud of because I personally was involved in all these steps with this customer. So the customer is Siemens, and Siemens has set their targets to become CO2 neutral by 2030. Very ambitious for a large company like Siemens. And we were looking at different dimensions, okay? I mean, you can, consume less energy, you can optimize, etc. One of the things we were specifically looking at, because it's not the easy one, is the business travel of the employees. It was already mentioned this morning. This is a huge bubble, okay? So it generates a lot of emissions. Now, how can I influence the way my staff is traveling around the world? Now, it's very easy. Also, your employees will look for the ROI, right? What's in it for me? If I don't get a benefit, probably I will not choose it, because once you decide to travel CO2 neutral or environmentally friendly, or however we will call it, it's usually not the easiest way to get from A to B, okay? It takes longer. You take the Deutsche Bahn or whatever. It's not the easiest way. Usually. So how do I motivate my staff to do it environmentally friendly? Because it's good for them, it's good for us as a company, and at the end, it's good for the planet. So we thought about this and came up with a solution which is a combination of artificial intelligence, blockchain technology, and all the good stuff, and all the technology I already mentioned in the exponential technology pillar. And we combined it in a clever way, and we created a travel engine that also looks for, okay, cheapest travel, fastest travel, or most sustainable travel. And this is a screenshot of the dashboard we created for the employees. So every employee has kind of a wallet, okay? So you have an account. On this account, we count, okay, how do you behave? And you get rewarded because this is the ROI. If I get rewarded, I probably will do it. I take the train because I get some points. And with these points, I can buy services or goods. Very important. Not just top down, also bottom up, motivate the people and tell them, hey, it's good for all of us. The second one goes into the complexity of scope 3 emissions. Now, this is an example we did with Carrefour from France, and it looks for sourcing for apparel and textiles. Once you were involved in a project around textiles, you understand the complexity of this supply chain. I mean, it starts with the raw material, cotton, from somewhere in Uganda to the store. And there are so many companies and people and hands involved. And we all know that especially the textile industry is sometimes, having very bad press, okay? So also here, the intention was, we look for a solution that tells us all the details from the raw material to the consumer. We can measure everything. We can measure the CO2 footprint, everything. So it makes life easier for us in our reporting. It makes life easier for all our suppliers in their reporting. Because the new requirement for the suppliers is not just be the cheapest one, be a green one as well. So how can you measure it? How can you, take the whole flow from the raw material to the consumer? And this is a platform we created with them. And we have same examples for different industries, like cobalt. We do this together with a automotive consortium. And what you see here is not a single company, okay? Carrefour was the leading company saying, yes, we want to do this. It's not easy, but let's start doing it. But there are many, many companies involved. It is a platform. It is an industry platform because also it does not make any sense also from a sustainability perspective, to create such kind of a platform for each and every producer. So I can build one for Adidas, I can build one for Carrefour, that doesn't make any sense. Because at the end of the day, this platform is suitable for most of them. Maybe you are some very special, but we can anyway integrate you and integrate your partners in the data. So that was very important. Here also important for this customer was the experience of the customer, the end consumer. How does he experience the things we're doing? And now we are looking for the kind of the storytelling, marketing-oriented stuff. But behind this, there is a very serious and large project. Now here, and you can scan this code actually, and I will take a picture when you all are scanning. Here, as a consumer for these products, you can see the whole life cycle of the product, including certificates for organic standards. Because what we created here is actually what we call an asset pass. Okay? It's like an identity card for every shirt. Every single shirt, everything that gets produced has its own asset pass. And the asset pass holds all the information from birth to death. So and it starts very simple. We are creating a digital twin of the cotton in Uganda. Now, getting this done is not that easy, but we are able to do this. And then we can track everything, and it's just a list of attributes of the asset. And it starts with, I'm cotton. And then I'm colored cotton. And sometimes I'm a shirt, and we can still find out all the ingredients of the shirt. And it's based on blockchain, so it's immutable. You cannot change it. You cannot manipulate it. It's very trustful. The next one is from Denmark. So the state of Denmark has very ambitious goals, moving towards 100% renewable energy sources by 2050. 100% renewable. holds so many challenges. And it's not just, does the wind blow and the sun shine? It's way more complex, because one thing is the production of the energy. The other thing is the balancing in the grid, because you have different demands. How can you balance the grid when you don't use gas turbine engines or other fossil-driven engines that are used today, heavily used today? What can we do? Well, together with the city of Copenhagen and some other partners, we looked into this and found out, well, there is a lot of flexibility in the market. When we look into the market, there's a lot of flexibility, okay? So instead of doing the grid balance by firing up a gas turbine, we can look into potential flexibility in the market. The first and largest partner we have integrated here is the largest supermarket chain in Denmark. Now, what we do with them is we integrate them on a platform, an intelligent platform, and remotely we can switch off the freezers, for example, for 10 minutes. If you're able to switch off 10,000 freezers in a country, you can feed the electric grid with so much energy, you don't need a gas turbine anymore. Again, where's my ROI? It's all good. Yes, we do this for the good, and the state of Denmark has these goals. We want to support the state of Denmark. Of course, all good, but at the end of the day, we're all doing business, right? So also here the question was, where's my ROI? So of course we created this as a commercial model. If I provide flexibility to balancing the grid, I get rewarded. So I sell the flexibility, and it's all completely automated. Okay? Even the settlement is done on the platform. We developed this over the last 3 years. We started in 2019, coming together again, going through this journey I've shown you. Okay, what is the challenge? How could we move on? Let's build an MVP, let's do a POC, let's try this out. And this is what we came up with, and we went live and into production in April this year. So this platform is live. We are currently rolling it out to all over Europe. Even in Germany, we are having the first discussions with energy providers and network providers. Okay? So, but the question remains, is this all enough? Is this all enough in helping us coming to the 1.5 degrees target? Probably not. Looking at this IPC numbers, and you probably all have seen this already, what I have shown you so far is in the category of let's measure things, let's understand things, and let's optimize things. This is what we do here. But of course, we also see the need for having capabilities to remove carbon from the atmosphere, store it, or do other things with the carbon. But don't let it, free flow into the atmosphere. So, but how can we do this? Because what we are looking for here is specific materials that help us to being cheap enough and to be scalable enough that we in big times can realize this, right? I'm not talking about one single filter. This will not help us save the world. We're talking here big time, so we need to find a scalable solution. Now, you all are part of material science industry, and you probably can see these numbers and say, yeah, probably, that's true. These are average numbers from cross-industry, and it takes usually around 10 years and $10 to $100 million to find a certain new material with some very specific properties we are looking for. Now, we aim to cut down both, okay? Time and cost by 90%. By 90%, how can we do this? This is the scientific method that you all are familiar with. This is how we explore things. This is how we discover things, right? We ask a question or we face a problem. We do some research. We create a hypothesis. We experiment, we test against the hypothesis, we have some results we can measure, and then we try to replicate. In the real world, you don't do this once. You do this 1,000 times, 10,000 times, maybe 100,000 times to come closer to what you are looking for. Now in IBM, we call this, we're supercharging the scientific method. We're supercharging it with the latest available technology because for the first time in humanity, we have everything we need. We have artificial intelligence. We have quantum computing. We have high-performance computing. And we combine them in a very clever way, and we call this accelerated discovery. And this is how we try to reduce cost and time by 90%. And we're already proving this. So these are the elements we are using. This is a very simplified model of it. And we in IBM, we are in the business of material science since ages. Since ages, we have laboratories around the world that are looking for finding new materials because we are challenged by the borders of physics, creating new chips, new semiconductors, etc. So we have a need to find new materials. Now, in this specific case, and this is one of our research focus areas currently, it's called the future of climate. And in the future of climate, we're looking for specific materials that help us to capture carbon. Now, we do a deep search. Deep search means we are scanning through hundreds of thousands and millions of scientific papers and patents, finding out what other scientists around the world have found about some certain or specific components. Okay, then we do something which is called generative model. So we form a graph. The graph down selects promising combinations, and then we simulate it, and then we need to test it. So in this little videos, you see how this works. So you see the knowledge graph there. You see the generative model. It tries the most promising combinations of ingredients. In this case, we were finding about 400 possible combinations. Now, 400 is probably still too many. So we, again, prioritize them. We test them. We simulate them. You see this there. So this is carbon and nitrogen, okay? And we have this membrane in between, and we try now to find out the best combination of ingredients that give us the properties we're looking for. So you see the one is high permeably, but it's very little selective. The second one is too selective. Nothing goes through. And the last one is probably the one we're looking at. Okay, now this is all theory. What we now need to do and understand is, can we synthesize this? Okay? Can we really mix up the materials, and does something meaningful come out of this? And we do this with something you see here in action. We call it RoboRxN. This is an autonomous lab. We are running in Zurich, Switzerland. And what it does actually is we bring in all the down-selected ingredients. It's like, think of you're at home and try to make a nice cookie. And you have a variety of ingredients. And you experiment, and this is what we do here. And we do this fully automated. Okay? So this is a new way of home office for scientific researchers, right? Because you can run this lab from anywhere in the world. Do your formula and test it there if it can be synthesized. Now, summarizing what I just said. So first, yes, it's complex. I would not say it's not. It is very complex. Like our whole planet is very complex, and the things that are happening there are complex. But it's doable. We just need to get started. It's an opportunity, and it's not a torture. Okay? Don't look at this as just another pain. And it can be fun, as Lisa said this morning. We have everything we need. Technology and industrialization brought us to the point where we are today. Okay? Now technology probably is the only helper to bring us to the future. And it's all there, and if we clever combine them, it will help us. And lastly, still looking for the ROI. Again, there's no business on a dead planet. If this is not ROI enough, I don't know what we are looking for. Having said that, I thank you very much. Let's act, let's do this together. I'm here for some talks. If you're interested, have questions, Don't be shy, just ask me. I'm not a shy person as well, as you can see. So let's have a discussion and let's take this challenge collectively, okay? Thank you.